Hi everyone, how are you? My name is Mackie and welcome to Mackie Really Reads. I hope everybody's safe, everybody's well, and everybody has been reading great books. If you are currently reading a great book, don't forget to drop it down in the comments and I will be sure to add it to my ever growing TBR. This video is going to be 10 tips on how to get over reading slump. Without further ado, first tip that I have for you guys is to read a novella. Please read a novella if you are in a reading slump. A novella is usually 100 to 200 pages. It's very short. It will help you get back into reading or kind of start to enjoy reading. It's like a quick thing. It also like gives you more of like, okay, I don't want to read something like this. Maybe reading something like this will help. So reading a novella is always great. First step, that's I always vote for reading a novella. And the second tip that I have is to read a book from a series. So what I mean is usually, hopefully, the books that you're reading are not standalone. Say you read the Dreamland Billionaire series, right? And you've read the fine print and terms and conditions, and you haven't read Final Offer, right? It's the last book that you have to read, and you haven't gotten into it or something, but you enjoyed that series or you enjoyed that world. I would suggest read a series like the previous books. You will like this one. There's a good chance. There's a very, very good high chance that you will like it. So revisit the series that you have not completed, and I'm sure you're gonna find one book that will help you uh, get over a reading slump. Yeah. And the third tip I have for you guys is to go back to your favorite author's backlist and read one of their books. You know what I mean? A lot of authors have been in this game for a very, very long time, so they have probably more than 5 books. So there's a good chance you haven't read every single book from every single author. So let's say one of your favorite authors is Penelope Douglas. You could type Penelope Douglas books and you can just check which books people have rated highly and the books that you haven't read, and you can just go through them. There's a lot of authors, like really, there's so many authors. I think that will be a good tip to kind of help you get over reading slump. The fourth tip that I have for you guys is to read a book that has your favorite trope. Now, I'm not talking about like micro tropes. I'm talking like dark romance. I'm talking small town, mafia romance, just something that you know, or like a billionaire romance. Like I know for me, like if I read like a billionaire romance or I read a small town romance or a mafia romance, that I'm probably gonna get out of a reading slump. And yeah, read a book that has your favorite trope. And the fifth tip that I have for you guys is to reread a favorite book. Like I know a lot of people, especially for me, I never really took that advice because I just didn't want to waste time on a book that I have read before. But like I noticed that it does help. Like if you read a book that you have loved so much, it really does help you get back into the just to the swing of things, just that feeling of wanting to read such a great romance, get into the world of other people. It really does help you, especially if you really, really enjoyed that romance. I guarantee you, yes, you might feel the same, you might still love the book, but there's a scene or a saying or something that's gonna make you like, oh my goodness, I never noticed that before, and it's just gonna make you start wondering what other books can I read. The next tip that I have for you guys might seem a bit controversial or whatever, but I think reading a fan favorite can really, really help you guys. Like whatever is like being hyped or is being read a lot on Book Talk and Bookstagram on booktube, like one of those books, I guarantee you not everyone is talking out of their ass, you know? That's not every hyped book is a bad book. So if there's a book, let's say this month is Wild Love or Love Unwritten, and you've been hearing a lot about it and it doesn't sound iffy to you, I mean, obviously, if you don't want to be reading that particular trope, don't do it. But if it's a fan favorite, just do it. What more do you have to lose? You're already losing by not reading. So just try it. Read a fan favorite. I promise you, one of the hyped books will be a book that you like. And that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad reader or make it seem like you don't have taste. Like, we need to get over this narrative already. Like, please. And the next tip that I have for you guys is to read a book recommended by someone you trust. By someone that you trust, it could be I'm literally talking about a content creator, a booktuber, a bookstagrammer, a book talker, someone you know, like okay, like a lot of their favorite books. Like just go to their page or whatever and just look at what they've been reading, what they've been loving, and what they've been recommending, because there's a good chance that one of their books that they've loved you're gonna love because you've already loved one of the books that they've loved. You get it? You get it? Like for me, um, I know if Jess from Peace Love Books, if she likes a book and she rates it like 5 stars, for me, I already know that's a good sign that I'm gonna really like that book. If Jen from the Book Refuge, she recommends a book and she gives it 5 stars, or she really enjoyed it and she has a lot to say about it, I know, okay, I'm gonna like this book. It may not be one of my favorites, but I know like I can trust their recommendations. I trust their reading because I like the same things they like. You know what I mean? There's a lot more other creators, but I'm just from the top of my head, like I know. Also, Chandler, she doesn't like a lot of books, guys, but I love that. But I know if she really like rates a book 5 stars, there's a good chance that I'm gonna like one of those books. It may, and it's for me, I feel like it's not a book that I would normally pick. You know what I mean? So read a book recommended by someone you trust. The reading taste, that is. I don't know about anything else. That has got nothing to do with me. And the next tip that I have for you guys is to change how you are reading, right? So for me, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. That's just how I like to read. But at night, of course, I don't want to be like having earpods in and listening to an audiobook. I would rather like read on my Kindle or a physical book. So if you've been reading a lot of books from like a Kindle, I would suggest read a paperback. Read the physical copy of a book, any book that you've had in your library for a while. I think that's one of the ways to kind of like, it makes you feel like you're doing something new, but you're not really doing something okay. And it doesn't really cost you anything. Like if you have a book that has been in your TBR and you have it physically, but you know, you've been listening to audiobooks for the past 3 weeks, this is a good chance, you know? This is a good chance to kind of change how you read, quote unquote. You know what I mean? So I hope that will help you. The other tip that I have for you guys is to change genres. I am someone that only reads romance and fantasy romance, paranormal here and there, but I don't really read thrillers or like I used to read a lot of historical fiction, but I don't do that anymore. But yeah, if you've been reading a lot of fantasy romances, why don't you try historical romance? Or if you've been reading a lot of romance, why don't you try like a fantasy romance? Change genres completely. Like just do a switch. Go to Goodreads, go on YouTube, and just figure out what kind of genre you can read. If like you really just over reading, let's say summer romances, contemporary romances, you just over it and you just wanna read something completely different that was gonna blow your mind. There's always fantasy romance, there's always the thrillers, there's always horrors, you know, there's always historical romance, there's always science fiction. There's a lot of things that you can read, guys. There's a lot of books out here in this world. The next tip that I have for you, which is the 10th tip for you guys, literally any one of them has to help you. They have to help you. Any of these tips, they have to do something. They literally have to do anything. So the last tip that I have for you guys is to watch a reading vlog or to watch like a top 10 or top 5 books that I've read this month or this year or something. I guarantee you, you're gonna find a book that you haven't heard about, that you haven't thought about reading, or you've completely forgotten about, and you're gonna love it. So watch a reading vlog. I know for me, I love to see people loving a book. I love reading. So that always makes me like, oh, you know, I want to have that feeling as well. I want to love reading. And if I'm a slump, I always do that. I always like watch reading wrap ups or a reading vlog. And I'm just like, it's time to go back. It's time to, it's time to focus and it's time to read. So it always has helped me. So yeah, I hope these tips have helped you. If they have helped you, why don't you subscribe? You know? Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. See you next time.